about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I have some of my grapefruit that I've been eating this morning, and boy, is it dripping down the shirt. This was a really juicy grapefruit. Apparently, a friend of a friend was growing these and gave us one, and I was like, dang, it's really juicy. It's really good. Grapefruit is incredible. Remember the 80s, the grapefruit diet? Man, it's dripping all over. Grapefruits have a lot of vitamin C. It's got fiber. It's got that tang. I know some of you drink Greyhounds, but I'm just talking about a breakfast grapefruit. A lot of, it fills me up. The problem is there's more and more medications being added to the list that you can't mix if you eat grapefruit. So I thought I should just quickly run down some of what's going on with that. So grapefruits interact with the cytochrome P450 system. So your cytochrome P450 3A4 enzyme helps metabolize drugs. And so the pathophysiology is that grapefruit juice contains compounds called furanocoumarins that stop the CYP3A4 enzyme from breaking down drugs in the intestines. Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, because your medications and your pills are designed to work and be bioavailable or available for your tissues in your body, depending on a very consistent and predictable breakdown. So they know how long it's going to be in your stomach. They know what's going to happen in the intestines. It has certain coatings. It has the way the medication is, it knows it's going to have to pass through the liver and pass through certain systems. So your grapefruit can kind of mess things up and then alter that disruption. If grapefruit interferes your body breaking it down, now you're going to get inconsistent boluses or doses of the medication. And that could sometimes increase bioavailability by 3 times. Now, you don't want to be overdosing on medication. You know, many of you say, oh, Dr. Daliah, I don't like taking statins, the cholesterol medication, because I hear it can hurt our muscle, that can hurt our liver and all that. Well, usually your doctors start you off on something very small. It's a low dose. But if you start eating grapefruits with that or mixing grapefruit juice or doing whatever you're doing throughout the day, now you could be increasing that dose to a level that you might not need. So I just thought I should quickly review some of the medications. So let me give credit where credit is due. Let me find this here. This comes from CMAJ. This is, I think, Canadian. Okay. I know. U.S. plays Canada tonight. This is really, really exciting. This comes from UCLAhealth.org is sharing a document that came from Canada. Okay. So everybody be nice. Here we go. All right, where is it? And now it is, the Canadians are mad at me. Come on. All right. You know, I like Canada. I've been to Canada. I've spent a lot of money in Canada. All right. So there are a lot of anti-cancer drugs. Apparently it could cause issues to your heart, causing a very dangerous heart rhythm called torsade de pointe, and myelotoxicity that could affect your muscles. These are things that if you are ever on chemotherapy or being treated for cancer, your oncologist will usually tell you no grapefruit. You're done with that. You're not going to be on it anytime soon. There are certain diabetic medications where if you take this, you could become hypoglycemic. Now, I don't believe it interacts with Ozempic. I have to look up. Some of you are on semaglutide, etc. But according to this list, repaglinide and saxagliptin, that could cause hypoglycemia. It could cause, because it's increasing the dose, what you think is just enough to handle your sugar could cause your sugar levels to drop. There's a lot of antibiotic and anti-infective agents that you cannot have while taking this grapefruit. So erythromycin, Many of you use erythromycin. You can't take that. You can't mix it. I need to double check with azithromycin and Zithromax, but for now they only have erythromycin on this list, but double check that. Primaquine, quinine, albendazole. These are things that we use, whether it's for parasites or bacteria. So make sure you get that checked out. Budesonide. Budesonide is a form of steroid. Some of you use that for COPD, or you're using it for immunosuppression. If you mix that with grapefruit, that could affect you as well. Your cholesterol medications like your statins, atorvastatin, lovastatin, simvastatin, that could increase your risk of rhabdomyolysis, which is breakdown of the muscle, because the higher doses could affect the muscle, cause muscle pain. With rhabdomyolysis, pieces of that muscle clogs up the kidneys, and then the big proteins and byproducts of rhabdomyolysis, and then you could go into kidney failure. So you need to be extremely careful if you take statins. Your cardiovascular agents like amiodarone, amlodipine, your Norvasc that you're taking for high blood pressure, you can't be mixing with the grapefruit. Some of your blood thinners, losartan, nifedipine. These are things that are pretty common medications you need to be aware of. Some of you are taking verapamil, sildenafil, tadalafil. Okay, sildenafil, if you guys are using that for as Viagra for erectile dysfunction, you can't be having grapefruit. Now, how many hours can it go by until, remember, these medications can live in your system for a few days to a week. So you need to be very careful than taking grapefruit juice or eating grapefruit. So double check with your medical provider when you could start having grapefruits if you're using Viagra. For some of you on Buspar for anxiety, can't be mixing that with grapefruit. That could worsen your sedation. And by the way, going back to, I know somebody's asking, why is Viagra bad? Why will taking grapefruit juice while on Viagra be an issue? It's because it could cause your blood pressure to drop significantly. If you are on methadone, if you're taking pain pills like oxycodone, if you're on antidepressants, if you're taking estrogen, it could cause increased clots. If you're taking sertraline, talk to your medical provider. But I taught you something. Look at that. 1-877 Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Now, don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on X or Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I want to take you back into the setting. It's 1850 in the Bayou country of Louisiana. Bridlewood House is a place of wealth and privilege, but there is also a darkness, a curse that holds the inhabitants captive without their knowledge. Charlotte is the beautiful young heiress who must assume her mother's place in society. Emily is her best friend and her maid, who must face that those roles are changing. Anatoly, hope I'm pronouncing it right, is the handsome young footman, God, it sounds sexy, who desperately wishes to escape to start his own life away from the constraints of Bridlewood. All their lives are about to be forever changed by a dark and handsome stranger. And one fateful Christmas gala sets a chain of events in motion that echoes through the century. I can't wait. Forever Twilight, The Dark Emeralds. This is the book that is going to take us through this story. And the author, one of my favorite authors on the planet, is Jerry Lambert, best-selling author and producer, and back again to talk to us about his latest work. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Dahlia. I always love having a chat with you about books.
Oh, my gosh. And you're gifted. You're gifted. So your latest is Forever Twilight. Talk to us about this.
Well, I had written a book series called The Dark Emeralds, and it started with Queen of Swords. And that was a book and a series that takes place in a dual timeline between 1850 and the present day. But it all really was about this one incident in 1850 that set this chain of events in motion. And so I decided, because I had a lot of readers who would ask me questions about it, they said, tell us more about this chain of events where people realized this curse and the things that were happening, and so I decided this is a really good opportunity to go back and just focus entirely on this 1850 storyline. It sort of bridges this gap between historical fiction and paranormal thriller, and with a little romance thrown in. And I just had a lot of fun writing it.
Oh, wow. And this is, I think, the fourth in the series?
Yes, it's the fourth and final in the series. It's a prequel, so it's for people who have not read the series yet, and it might interest them in the series, or for people who've already read the series and want to know more about this universe where this takes place.
And it starts with Queen of Swords, and then I believe
Correct.
It goes to Minor Arcana. Yeah, talk to us about that.
Yeah, then Minor Arcana, and then Apocrypha. And they all, there's a story arc about what caused the curse and how they reveal and understand it and how it affects their modern day lives, and also how they can hope to reverse it and change it in the end of the arc. And then, but really what Forever Twilight does is explain, let us know more about the people who were in those original tragic events that set this in motion.
The recipe you use in your writing is brilliant. You have the love, you have the suspense, there's that drama, and it's fascinating. And I also love the setting. I think there's something about the mid to late 1800s where it's in the past, but it also can interlay very, relevant and current themes. Why did you choose that time frame?
Well, I specifically chose 1850 because I wanted it to be pre-Civil War, because, once Civil War happened, that so materially changed everything in that part of the South. And I was born and raised in the South, so it's an area that I know well. And I just wanted to set it at that point because it's such a point of so much change is about to happen. So all of that change is relevant to the rest of the book. And so I think that it's beautiful, romantic time that we think about. But it's also important to, when you go back and look at how those individual lives were, things were certainly much more difficult than the romantic idea that we get from Gone with the Wind.
Mm-hmm. And you could focus more on the story. I take a look at settings. A lot of people talk to me about the book they're writing, and my book. I mean, I write a lot of more how-to and teaching books, but my fictional book, it's taken me a while. It's taken me a while to get to. And when using modern day settings, there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of, but they could just use cameras for that. Or I think Modern Family did a fantastic take on this, where there was an author who was writing a fantastic story, but they're like, but the cameras on the train would have figured this out. And then, he had to interlay all the modern technology that almost ruined the romanticism of the story. And so I think what you did there was brilliant.
Thank you. When I wrote Queen of Swords, that was one of the big issues that I had. I'm writing a mystery thriller that is set in, part of it is set in the present day, and that mystery thriller had to have basically contact was taken away. I needed to take away cell phones in some fashion so that people couldn't just, let me just call someone and have myself taken out of here. That is where the location comes in handy, because it's far enough in the deep south in Terrebonne Parish in Louisiana where you can legitimately get away with not having cell service and Wi-Fi service. And so that is the challenge of writing a modern mystery. And when you are set in, of course, writing this one set entirely in 1850, I didn't have any worries about that.
Exactly. Yeah, we're speaking to Jerry Lambert, best-selling author and producer. Jerry, a lot of people have been looking to tapping in on their artistic side, and you are definitely overflow with artistry. I'm a huge fan of yours. What advice can you give to new authors who struggle because you found yours recently. You became an author recently. What sort of advice can you give to new authors?
Well, I have always been a writer. That's something that I've always done, but I only, decided to start writing for publishing when I was, I guess it was I was 45, I think, when I started my first book. And I'm 54 now. But I think that the thing that I would tell anybody is, if you want to write, read a lot, and read a lot of the kind of books that you want to write, because plotting and pacing are really informed by what you learn from what you're reading. And you'll find that you'll learn how to put a story together. Certainly if you're an English major, that helps a lot, but you don't need to be. I'm not. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what, you need to have a good knowledge of how it's done, but then your editor is going to clean up for you as well afterwards. But when it comes to really getting the story down, you just have to take notes and always have notepads with you. I do all the time, because story ideas come to me, and creativity can be really fleeting. Something that I swear I'm never going to forget, I will forget 15 minutes later.
It's true. And, also many people think that if they are going to author a book by themselves, it has to be 1000% themselves. And you are able to get inspiration from others. You are able to connect with others to edit or, read this, get their opinions,
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's so daunting.
You must have outside help. You must have an outside editor. I do not believe that you can edit yourself effectively. I think that you can edit yourself, but then someone still has to edit afterwards. Because you see the words as they are in your mind sometimes. That means that you miss that it's not actually saying that on the page. You don't ever want that to happen.
So true. How can my listeners find your great works?
It's available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and I love bookshop.org is a great resource for paperback books and hardback books, because they support local small independent bookstores. So you can buy through there and not just support the mega billionaire conglomerates. You can actually go to bookshop.org. It's a great place, a great resource for buying paperback books.
Mm-hmm. And these are great gifts.
My ebooks I have an exclusive thing with Amazon for my ebooks. So those are only available on Kindle Reader for the first 6 months.
Okay, and I'll share the link for my listeners. This could be a great Valentine's gift, Mother's Day gift, Father's Day gift. These are fantastic books. Jerry Lambert, thank you so much for coming on. We can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back. 1-877 Doc Dali.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. So an issue that's been brought up over the years, and we've spoken about this before, is how not to make retirement and going into your golden years so depressing. And a lot of people will fear that they're going to be like their parents or grandparents, where they're older and they're just riding the clock out till they go to heaven. If you have family members going to heaven, I don't know if I get to go to heaven. I hope I do. And so people will look at their previous family members as it was, the family was waiting for them to just go and leave. And they then look at their retirement as that's the last step to you finishing your final chapter. And it doesn't have to. Retiring is a whole new chapter. It's a whole new book. But people don't see it like that. They think they can't work anymore. They have to now make less money. They have to watch every penny they have. And now they got to make sure they don't get sick and fall or die too soon. Well, of course you're depressed about it. So we need to really rethink and change up what retiring is. Now, I'm a workaholic, so I never plan on retiring. I'm going to just continue to work. Not to mention, I don't see how the money we've saved, which isn't much, because we've had to pay off student loans and mortgage and things like that. And we haven't paid our mortgage off. We still have car payments. I don't see how I could have a finite amount of money in the bank and that's going to be enough to live on for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. No way. I just don't see it. So for me, I'm planning on still working. But for a lot of individuals, they don't have that ability to. Or they're getting pushed out. You know, they're going to get fired from the federal government any day, or they're going to get pushed out of their job and they're going to be forced into an early retirement. So what do? Well, you need to figure out what makes you tick. So it's very interesting how we don't realize what our life purpose is, and we misconstrue it. So when I was a kid, I didn't really enjoy my childhood too much because it was all about, I got to get the good grades and I have to get a scholarship because my family can't afford college and I want to be the first person to be able to graduate college. So I got to get a scholarship. So it was just all about getting good grades and all I did was study. Okay. It kept me out of trouble, but all of a sudden I'm out of high school and there goes my teen years. Now I'm in college. Well, in college, it was all about getting into medical school. I need good grades. I also needed to support myself. So I'm working 3 part-time jobs while I'm tutoring and I'm doing secretarial work. I'm working at Jack in the Box. I'm hostessing at a restaurant. I'm just doing all sorts of things until finally luckily I got into medical school. Well, now I'm in medical school in my 20s and I have to stay in medical school. You don't want to fail out because I need to get into a residency. So then I have to get into a residency, finally get into a residency. And now I'm 27, 28. So now I got to start my family. I'm married. I got to start having kids before I get deep into my 30s. So now I had my kids. And I'm glad I did. And now it's about the kids. It's about supporting the kids. It's about trying to put money away for their future, put them through a good school, save up for their college. So all of a sudden you get into your 40s and 50s and you're like, okay, when am I going to do stuff now that I want to do? There was a movie that Steve Martin was in years ago. It was called Parenthood. And he was talking to his wife about he's not doing what he wants to. His whole life is he has to. And I know I'm misquoting that, but a lot of time you're looking at what you're doing as you have to. I have to work out. I have to do this. I have to go and see this family member. I have to do this. So all it is are duties. And things we really wanted to do, we didn't do. Like I want to finish my album. One day I'll do it. Nobody's going to probably want to listen to it, but at least it's something I want to do. I'm working on it. It's called an off-key Christmas because I'm off-key sometimes. It's all about, well, I can't because I got a mortgage and the economy is still bad and I need to save for retirement. So all your days are about doing. And then finally you get to an age or you get a point in your life where you can't work or you just don't work. And now you feel like you're too old to do things you've always wanted to do. So my advice to you is, one, get out of your head that you're too old to do it. If you want to write a book, you write a book. If you want to get up and sing and entertain people, you get up and sing. If you want to be in show business or broadcasting or whatever, start a show. Even if there's only a couple people listeners. Modern Family, they did an episode where the Ed O'Neill character, Jay, started a broadcast on YouTube, and he had some followers, maybe not a lot, but good for him. If that's something you want to do, if you want to instill wisdom to others, do it. If you feel like your kids and grandkids are going to ignore everything you taught them, make videos that they could use and pass down or write things down that family members, and trust me, they will read it. You might think they don't care about it now, but imagine if my grandfather or great-grandfather had put down advice for me, I would be reading it to you. I don't have anything like that from them. He was in his 60s and he dies of cancer and he's gone. And so think about, one, things you've always wanted to do, and don't let that depress you. Yes, I've always wanted to ski the Alps. I still could do that if my knees hold up. I love skiing. But if I can't afford to do that, all right, well, do I still want to ski? Then ski. Or I've wanted to learn I know how to scuba dive, but let's say you've wanted to learn how to scuba dive. Okay, take a scuba diving class. Let's say you've wanted to cook. Let's say you've wanted to go to Paris. There's ways to do that where it's cheaper. Remember I told you sometimes it's cheaper to go to Paris by going to London? It might be cheaper for you to get to London, and then you take the train or the tunnel, the Eurostar, into Paris. There are ways to do things, and you're not going to feel fulfilled, and you're not going to want to go to the pearly gates if you don't feel like you've accomplished some of the things you've wanted to. Now, I'm not saying dump your spouse and fall in love with a 20-some-year-old, right? Gorgeous blonde. I don't be doing that. Okay, you still have a family to take care of, etc. But there's a lot of other things in life that if you wanted to experience, you could still experience and you could still do. It doesn't have to be depressing. Now, I understand our health can make things change. Our health could affect our mobility. Our health could affect our sight, our hearing. Well, there's a lot of things out there now that help us with that. And there are tons of things that we could do that could still help us be accomplished and make things happen. And so I really urge you all to, do some reflection. You might have to be careful because there might be a family member that's a what do they call them? Debbie Downers, where, you can't do that. No, we don't have money. No. So you might need to talk to a family member that actually is a little bit more optimistic and it's not always negative and say, how can we do this? My husband is the realist and I'm the dreamer. Although sometimes I'm very realistic about things and sometimes he's the dreamer. But I remember telling him, I want to go to Europe. We've never been. I want to do this. We can't afford it. So I'm like, well, there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to prove you wrong. And I found a way where we could do it where it really wasn't that expensive. In fact, I had to prove to him that it was cheaper than going to Hawaii. It was cheaper than going to New York City by the time we got done with everything. So don't think that retirement means you just have to wander around your house and just age. All right. There are things you could do if you want to. And there are things you could do for your loved ones if that's something that drives you. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I was just at the grocery store. I posted some pictures. Definitely a lot of changes with the eggs, with the prices of things. And I know families are kind of scrambling on how they're going to incorporate more family-friendly, healthy meals in light of all the high costs of food. Well, coming back on the show, which I'm so excited, is chef and TV personality Jamie Gwen to talk to us about some of the shopping changes and options that we have, especially as we're going into March Frozen Food Month. Chef Gwen, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back with you, Dr. Daliah, always.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, you are so much fun. And 83% of Americans say that frozen foods make meal planning easier. And you have elicited how there's a lot of healthy options with frozen foods. So talk to us about what consumers are doing and what you're seeing with grocery shopping patterns.
Yeah, of course. And I'm actually with all of those consumers. As a professional chef by trade, I can very proudly tell you that I embrace the frozen food aisle. We have come a long way. It is not what you think of or quote unquote remember, right? There are healthful options. There's a lot of new regulation and labeling, and it's very clear. Read the labels, what you're getting. If it's frozen fruit, it's frozen fruit. And if you could pick raspberries at the peak of the season and freeze them for me, IQF, individually quick frozen, as they do, why wouldn't I use them, right? Have you seen the winter surge in pricing for stuff?
Yep.
So, yes, there are a lot of wonderful ways to embrace the frozen food aisle. And the latest research, I love a statistic, Dr. Daliah, according to the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association, shows a shift in how Americans are getting smarter using frozen foods to make meal planning easier. 64% are specifically using frozen foods to combat those rising grocery costs. So you've got budget and convenience in mind here. I think it's a fundamental change in how we think about our freezer space, right? It's not just storage.
Absolutely.
Like you and I would think, oh, I'll just throw it in the freezer. No, now it is a critical tool, my freezer.
And you bring up a good point in terms of the planning, because we did that during COVID. We realized that, we also need to prepare, and the freezer offered so much flexibility in terms of what we were going to be doing with our meals. Not to mention, we had a power outage the other day. I was able to move the food from the fridge to the freezer. I think a lot of us, we look at our freezer space on our refrigerator and think that's all we have. I urge a lot of Americans to get extra freezer space, because you can do meal planning. It is a tool, like you said. Chef Gwen, you have a lot of creative ideas about meal planning and combinations. Share with us some of those.
Of course. So I think the best thing you can do to embrace the freezer aisle is to be creative. And March being National Frozen Food Month, now's the time, by the way, to peruse the aisle and elevate your mindset. See what's there. There's a lot of healthy, vegetarian, gluten-free, Indian, ethnic diversity, a lot of options, right? And by the way, Dr. Daliah, I would love to make you a 37-ingredient curry, but I just don't have time tonight. Mm-hmm. So if you embrace the frozen food aisle, you can eat from around the world. You can also get creative, like you said, with the ingredients or the staples that your family loves. So I'll give you, for instance, I wish you were here in the studio with me because I got lots of fabulous food. We have staples in our house that are always in the freezer. When I came home from a business dinner this past Sunday, my kiddo hadn't eaten. I thought, well, what am I going to make? Mm-hmm. And I embraced my freezer. So we love waffles in our house. I make them from scratch sometimes. I always have frozen waffles on hand. And I make them chefy in the morning for my son. I do blueberry-infused maple syrup. But at night, if I want to get my kid to eat, I take the waffle and I turn it savory. I shred some chicken, could be the frozen grilled chicken strips that I love. It's chicken, pure chicken. Somebody grilled for me and froze it. Why wouldn't I use it? And I toss it with some barbecue sauce. And I take the waffle and I put it in a taco holder, and I call it a barbecue chicken waffle taco. And by the way, my kid eats it up. It's delicious. Yes. Now I've used the waffle in two ways. For instance, a dumpling. I personally think the frozen food section was created for my love of dumplings. I love a pan-fried dumpling. We eat them as finger food in my house. But I also heat up a pot of good chicken broth or stock. I make mine homemade. I mean, I'm still a chef. I do love to cook. And I throw some of those dumplings in there. And then I use up my produce bin in the fridge, half a zucchini, shredded carrots, whatever I have. And I throw in some scallions, some ginger, some garlic. And in 5 minutes, I have this beautiful, lovely soup that's hearty, and it's got my favorite dumplings in it that, by the way, came from the freezer. I mean, there's just so many creative, lovely ways. The frozen fruit that you buy today, those berries that I alluded to,
Yeah. Oh, I have
layer
those all the
them
time.
with Greek yogurt and granola. Yes, and the frozen berries make their own juice. Now you have this, like, totally luscious parfait. Yogurt, granola, frozen berries, bring it on.
Exactly. We've come a long way from the TV dinner in terms of using these. Like my husband brought home some chicken and some potatoes and all that. I'm like, well, where's the vegetables? And luckily in my freezer, I already had some broccoli. I already had some frozen peas. And so I could immediately add that to the meal. Oh, it's fantastic. I know we're running short on time. Any other information you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I would love to. I would like to encourage you, thank you, Dr. Daliah, to please go walk the frozen food aisle during the month of March. The values are the best of the year because the producers of these frozen foods are offering discounts and the grocers are on top of it. So go find your favorite cauliflower rice, which is the base of all my favorite grain bowls. I use it from the freezer for my grain bowls. And my kiddo loves it, and don't tell him because he doesn't know. It's frozen cauliflower rice, and it's delicious. And stock up on your staples. Make a strategic list before you go. Buy one or two things new you've never bought before, all at the best prices during March. And then go to easyhomemeals.com, easyhomemeals.com. You will find a bevy of recipes, many of which I'm proud to say are mine there, that will inspire you to use frozen foods in ways you might not have ever imagined.
You are so right. So get a freezer if you don't have. Clean out your freezer. And March is Frozen Food Month. And so I'm assuming there's also a lot of promotions, too. So a good time to take advantage of getting those staples. And, cauliflower rice is brilliant. Chef Jamie Gwen, one more time, the website. And also, how can my listeners find out more information on you?
Well, thank you. You go to easyhomemeals.com for inspiration. And during National Frozen Food Month, there's $10,000 in prizes to win on easyhomemeals.com. So you should go there. And then I am at Chef Jamie Gwen on every platform. And on my website, you'll find lots of recipes too. And I share, sheer gluttony. So prepare yourself.
I love it. Chef Jamie Gwen, thank you. Love having you on. Can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, Dr. Daliah. I loved being there. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. All right, guys, don't go away. We'll be right back. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.